Hey all you super players out here, this is Ben Lode's aka 5 Buck Lunch coming at you with some gameplay. Today we've got the Hercule Leader U6 deck that I was demoing. I changed a couple things, but it's mostly the same, and the Universe 6 Cabba Leader. So the basis of the Universe 6 Cabba deck is very much the same as the Hercule deck, except you get a few more synergies, and you don't get to draw on your super combos. As you see, I'm starting off with one of the two standard one-turn plays for Hercule. You either want to play Khalifa to search, get some advantage, or you want to charge a dual color energy so you can set up for your counters later. One of the other big differences between the decks is I don't play Senzubin in the Hercule deck. And he gets access to planet Saldala, which I do not. So he's going to play the Khalifa here. This helps him awaken faster. And taps down my Khalifa, which... Oh. So now I get my dual color energy down. This will make my two counter plays go a lot faster. And the reason I did it in this order is because I had another Khalifa to play. So I would still have a play even though I only had one energy. I'm going to grab Champa here. In this game, I didn't have a whole lot of good draws. Unfortunately, when I searched that Champa, it was my only choice. I would much rather have gone for a Vados Champa or one of the two big Kales or Khalifas. As you can see here, I'm trying to get to the pieces that I need by comboing into Hercule and drawing more cards. I know I'm probably not going to need that Khalifa since he's attacking me. I don't really need to awaken myself. So he's going to go ahead and arrival in his Vados Champa. This is a key card in both decks. It allows you to play your super combos without paying for them so long as it's Universe 6. And so yeah, he gets that in play. It's interesting how aggressive he's being. A lot of decks against Hercule will kind of sit back since Hercule doesn't draw cards on his front unless he's comboing. But since he's playing a more aggressive deck, he's just kind of going in there. So I plays Kale, and he's going to grab a 3 or higher. And I actually didn't realize this when we started, but Cabba can trigger multiple times per turn to grab life, so he's going to use that to awaken on this turn, and he's going to grab back a Universe 6 with his Kale. So one of the major advantages that this Cabba Vegeta deck has over the Hercule deck is that his Awaken untaps 2 as opposed to draw 3. Drawing 3 is nice. You get a whole lot of cards, but untap 2 is really, really beneficial in aggressive decks, which is what he's playing. So he's going to really get to go off this turn where On my turn, it would probably have ended after the Vados Champa. Same with the Senzu Beans, it also lets him go a lot more aggressive than me. If you notice, I'm not really defending myself at all. With Hercule, really want to get down to 4 pretty quick, so you can start drawing when you attack and when you combo. Also, trying to defend yourself at 5,000 is very, very difficult, so you want to try and flip pretty much as soon as possible. And you see here, one of the great things about playing a U6 deck is you can search your secret rare. So now he has a secret rare, and he got one of his big Kales. He also gets to use the second effective Cabba, which will tap one of my Khalifas, which actually makes it very difficult for me to play this game, since he has ways to tap down my 1-drops. Normally they can't be KO'd by card effects, but if he can attack them, there's not really much I can do to defend them since they're so weak. So as you can see here, I'm getting in a pretty tough spot. He has a lot more board presence than me. I have a lot more cards in his hand. At this point, I think it's something like 10 or 12 to 6. So I'm not down in card advantage, but he has a much bigger board than me. So if you see here, I'm going to do my Awakening combo since I'm at 4 life. So I get to draw 1, 3, and then 1 again. So this puts me significantly ahead of him in terms of cards in hand. Here you see me play Kale. I'm going to grab back Champa. This will help me, hopefully, in the future against that secret rare I saw him grab, or it can turn any of his guys tapped, so it's a pretty useful card. Just helps slow him down. Also, I think it was my only target. This whole game was, for me, was really awkward in terms of like what I drew and what targets I had for certain effects. It took me a while to get to Vados Champa, which you ideally want to play Vados Champa on turn 2. And here awkwardly he plays the new yellow Graveyard Negate, which switches a 1-drop to Rest Mode, which again is really, really awkward for me because it allows my 1-drops to be killed when normally they would be safe. Also, it prevents me from comboing and drawing extra cards with my Hercule, which was the plan here. I was going to attempt to swing with the Hercule, put out Vados Champa, and then awaken my guys. It basically stalls out my whole turn. I did find it interesting here that he charged a multicolor mana. So my guess is that he had some counters in hand he wanted to play, probably a Champa, because normally at this stage in the game you would want all your mana active so you could do more, play more cards and do more abilities. So it's interesting that he waited till this late and then charged a dual color. So there's the Kale. That's another card that you can't play in the Hercule deck that you can play in the Vegeta and Cabba deck, and that's because it requires a U6 leader. You look at the top 10 cards and you can put in play both a Cabba and a Khalifa. Here he only finds the Khalifa. But yeah, you can't play that card in Hercule because it requires a Universe 6 leader. It's one of the cards that you can't play. So he grabs the Khalifa that can go over the top of the one-drop Khalifa. And this is another thing that's about to happen that's awkward in this matchup, is when that Khalifa comes into play, he gets to tap down an energy or a battle card, and so he can use it to tap down my one-drops again, and that's just one of the things that's an issue with this matchup. A lot of the times is he's getting his effects that come into play and tap guys, and where I'm not getting them right now, so it can make it very difficult. I do play Flying Nimbus, which helps a lot with this matchup. It's very powerful, so no matter how many guys he got on board, you can still Flying Nimbus and protect yourself. That was another reason that I chose to not go off last turn and try and force, for example, a Vados Champa play, is because I didn't want to go down to one energy so he could just play a Khalifa or something and tap me out. I wanted to have the Nimbus up and available because I knew he couldn't kill me this turn. So here he is. He knows he can't kill me, so he's protecting his battle cards. And now, before he taps my energy down, I play my Khalifa Champa, or Khalifa Champa, Vados Champa. And the reason I chose to play it now is because his Khalifa, after combo, is going to evolve and tap down my last energy. So I want to use that energy before he can tap it. So even though I comboed, it still has enough to kill it. So like I said before, one of the awkward things about this is both sides have a lot of tap effects, which get along the one drops where normally they'd be pretty difficult to get rid of. So one of the big problems in this match right now is the fact that he keeps killing my one drops, so I can't set up a big board where I just play a bunch of Khalifas and Kales. So this is his last attack for the turn because he's under Nimbus. Is his later attack. So once again, I look like I'm in a really terrible spot, but that's not as true as it would seem. I do have 10 cards in hand to his 5 at this point, and so even though he has a lot of guys on board, only about 3 of them are actual attackers. So it certainly looks like I'm in a really bad spot, but I got my Vados Champa, I've got my card advantage. I'm actually not doing too bad. So here you kind of have a hard time seeing it, but he's playing his Graveyard Negate, and he's going to use that to tap my Kale. And, oh, maybe not. Oh, he forgot to tap the Kale. But one of the ways he is taking away a lot of my advantage is every turn he's negating my leader attack, which is essentially taking away a free draw every turn. So this forces me to attack with Vato's Champa. If I remember correctly, I was also having an issue finding one-drop Khalifas this match. Like I said, I was kind of not finding the pieces I needed throughout a lot of it. That's why you didn't see me play very many cards. So he's going to play his Khalifa combo, and he's going to tap down one of my energy. Here I bounce the 2-drop Khalifa. I don't think he's going to play it again because he doesn't want to take any more life because he's down to 3 at this point. And at this point in the game, I'm just trying to drain cards out of his hand. I'm trying to attack with things, but I need to leave energy open because I know that he has a lot of big plays that can come as well. I'm still sitting on a significant amount of card advantage, so I'm not in a bad spot. It's not particularly a good spot either, though. His board's starting to get to the point where this turn he's probably going to play 3 or 4 more guys, and I'm going to start having a much harder time combating it. In general, Hercule is pretty good against go-wide decks, because basically every time they attack, you get to draw a card. But at some point, I'm going to either run out of cards, or his guys are just going to get too big. And you'll see here I'm about to make a pretty big mistake. So here is the mistake that I made. So this Khalifa is about to evolve on top, which will tap down one of my energy. I have a Champa in my hand that is going to come and play and tap his Khalifa. Now I was worried about, oh, I'm not going to get to play my Champa anymore because he will tap one of my energy. But the thing I forgot is that earlier in the game rather, he searched out his secret rare, and I just tapped my 6th card by tapping those energy, which was a pretty big misplay on my part. He was in a pretty dire spot here. Actually, he was down to, I think, 4 cards, and I was at like 11. So I was actually doing pretty good, but this is going to allow him to draw 4 cards. So it allows him to get a bunch of his advantage back that I had, slowly leaked away throughout the game. So yeah, I should have forced him to play, just not bothered with the Champa. It wasn't that big of a deal to have his Khalifa inactive, and I should have just waited and kept the 1 energy up so that I didn't have 6 tapped. especially since I actually knew he had the secret rare because I saw him search it off of Cabba earlier in the game. So he's at 40 crit here. If you notice, one of the things that's pretty ridiculous is so he just played that, drew 4 cards, and tapped me out. But I can still fight against this because I have so much more cards than him, and all of my 10k combos are free. You can't really see it here too, but I have 4 life, so he has to do a damage to me before he can finish me with the secret rare. So this is the new Khalifa that comes out of the tournament pack. It evolves for free, it's 19, and it just has dual attack. Nice and simple. The nice thing about her being 19 is I can just play any of my 10Ks and just immediately get over her without having to combo anything or lose any advantage. You see here, I just combo the Khalifa. Nice and easy. You might be able to see it, but one of the big issues with the end of this match is I drew 3 of the Beeruses, the ones that come and play, come into your energy untapped dual color if you have a dual color energy. And this is one of the things I changed from when I made the deck profile. I wanted to have more dual color energy that I could charge, but the problem is he is a 10k that you can't combo for free. So if you draw him when you're comboing, he gets stuck. And as you can see against a deck like this where I have a lot of times where I'm tapped out, he really sticks in your head real bad. So I may reduce the number of him going forward. But it was a huge detriment to me. If those were Universe 6 cards, I would have had an extra 3,000 combo power to work with on this turn and the next turn. And you see there, I draw the third Beerus, which really hurts me. So now, those 3 cards I would normally be able to combo with, I can't. And I have to combo with some cards that I really needed on the next turn. For example, I have to lose that KO when I have the 1-drop KO in hand. And I could have really used that next turn. But as you see now, I have successfully defended all of his attacks except for his secret rare, which means he can't kill me this turn. Which is pretty crazy when you think about it. He had 5 or 6 attacks plus a secret rare, and he couldn't get through me because Hercule just draws that many cards. So here he chooses to kill my Vado Champa instead of giving me 3 extra cards next turn, because he's kind of in a rough spot right now where he's kind of in danger of losing the game. So now I'm considering, so I still have card advantage. I have a couple guys on board. I'm trying to figure out whether I can go for game here or whether I should try and clear his board. The big problem with trying to clear his board is clearing the secret rare is going to be very difficult because it starts at 40k. Even with the advantage I gained off Hercule, it's pretty hard for me to actually do it. So I decide that I'm going to try and go for game this turn. He's only got 5 cards in hand, and I can make some pretty big plays, put a lot of pressure on the board. I finally found the one drop Khalifa that I was looking for most of the game. I use it so I get my new Vegeta Chompos, so I can put that in play. So we play a Kale, grab back the Kale that I comboed with. So you're about to see a very, very important play, not only in this matchup, but it's important in... So there's a rival, so I got my Vegeta Chompos down. And I'm also going to rival down a Khalifa so I can get an extra attack in. And I actually made a mistake here that ended up costing me pretty dearly. So what I should have done is evolved Kale and Khalifa right now. Or I should have evolved Kale and Khalifa on my leader attack. And the reason for that, I'm about to do it now, you'll see in a minute, is it's a key play in any of these mirror matches, not just this one. But if I had done this play earlier in the turn, it would have been a lot better for me. So the Kale comes down, negates and bounces the Vados Champa. So now I've got him locked out with no energy open, and he can't combo any of his 10Ks anymore. And since Kale negates before it bounces, he can't protect it with its effect. And now see, if I had done that earlier, he wouldn't have been able to combo with his 10K, and I probably would have gotten an extra damage in. So now you can see I've kind of got him where I want him. He's stuck comboing multiple 5Ks since he can't really protect himself anymore. Another thing that I forgot to take into account in this turn is the fact that his leader gains 5 if I'm tapped out. So I probably should have played this in a way to not allow him to, not allow myself to be tapped out so I could be swinging at a 15K leader. The play would probably have been to not arrival the Khalifa into play and to leave that energy open. I think the sacrifice of one attacker would have been significantly worth him not being bigger on his leader. Basically just gave him a free Senzu Bean. So at this point I realize that I can't do 3 damage anymore because his leader's so big. So I clear off his remaining battle card. I also clear off his Cabba, which I didn't see before because it was under his secret rare. But at this point, I'm pretty much screwed. So some things that I could have done differently in order to win this match, you'll see I end up losing here pretty quick. I definitely should have not forgotten that he had a secret rare in his hand. So that one turn, he wouldn't have gotten to draw 4 cards, which kind of brought him back into the game. I should have not tapped out here. If I had not tapped out, I could have killed him. We looked at his cards later to check out how much combo power he had, but because my Vados Champa and my Champa would have been able to attack at a threatening value, as opposed to just sitting there. Also, not seeing the 1-drop Khalifa when I needed to, and drawing all those dang Beeruses at the end really hurt me too. I had multiple cards in my hand that I couldn't combo with on that last turn, which is pretty unusual for the deck. As long as you got Vados Champa out, you can pretty much combo with everything except for Beerus. But yeah, this was a pretty good representation of what both decks can do. It shows how fast that Vegeta and Cabba can play, how ridiculous they can just kind of throw out guys. It also shows that how Hercule kind of works against aggressive decks. It's okay if you're behind on board. You're going to have a lot more cards than them. So you just play until you get to a point where you can throw an explosive turn down, and you just slowly run them out of cards. So yeah, so that's a good representation of the game. Please like and subscribe, and go out there, have some fun, and play some Super.